Welcome! In this series of short videos, we will look at topics common to both the PowerBasic Console and Windows compilers. Today we will look at the use of pointers with user-defined types. I have been asked if I can provide a video on pointers, giving a simple explanation of what they are and how they can be used. This will lead on nicely from our previous video on user-defined types and unions. So what we're going to do today is take the application we created in the last video and we're going to put some pointers at the end. For detailed coverage of the creation of these user-defined types, if you want to watch the previous video, I'll put the links in the description below. But what we have in this application is we have set up a user-defined type called UDT account. It has a number of elements: a balance, a transaction count, user information, and account information. The user and account elements are both in themselves user-defined types. Further down in the code, we have dimensioned an array of 10 elements between element 1 and element 10 as this user-defined type. And we've populated the first element of the array, element number 1, with the balance and the transaction count. This is fairly standard operation for a user-defined type held within an array. The purpose of the user-defined type is to allow you, the programmer, to design your own variable type. And having defined that variable type, you can then dimension an array to contain elements of that type. Further down in the code, we have actually printed the details from inside the array out to our log, using the name of the array, the element number of the array, and the property you're actually looking for, in this case the balance. Further down the code again, we're populating the user information, which is stored within the user element of the user-defined type, allowing us to save the first name and the last name of our user. And further down still, we're storing the account number. So we're building up in our array a set of data for a particular user. And as the array is 10 elements in size, we could store 10 users' data. And slightly further down the code, we're showing a shortened version of this. We're defining a user-defined type as the user-defined type defined at the beginning of the program. And then we're populating that user-defined type with the element and the account number details. This allows us to extract the information from that specific element of the array by using a shortened form. And we're using this shortened version to print out the full account information or the department information using our user-defined type. Now that we've got this far and stored the information within our array of user-defined types, we can now use a pointer on the specific element of the array we've specified above. So let's declare a pointer variable. So here we're declaring a variable called P1, and we're declaring this as a user-defined type. This is the UDT account number. And the final part of this piece of code is PTR, which is pointer. So P1 is a pointer variable. A pointer is a variable that holds a 32-bit address of either code or data located elsewhere in memory. So basically, it's a number. And this number points to the location in memory which this information is stored at. So having declared this variable, we now have to populate it. So we're populating the P1 variable using the var pointer command. This command takes a single parameter, and this is the variable we want to point at. We have declared the user account further up in our code, here on this line. So we're pointing at where that information is actually stored. And having defined where that information is actually stored, we can actually reference it using the pointer itself. So we can print out to our log the account number by using the @ sign, the name of our pointer variable, P1, and the construct within that user-defined type that we wish to access, in this case, the full account number. So let's try running our code and see what this generates. So here is the account number appearing, the 101234556, and using the pointer we can obtain exactly the same information. So our P1 variable is pointing at the data held within the user-defined type we'd specified earlier in the code. However, the user-defined type we specified earlier in the code is pointing only at the very first element of the array. How would we handle it if we wanted to point to the array itself? Let's declare another pointer. We'll call this pointer P2. And we're pointing it again at a user-defined type, in this case UDT account. This is a user-defined type we used when we were dimensioning the array in the first place. There is the line of code we used to dimension the array. The array is between elements 1 and 10 as a UDT account. So to populate this P2 pointer, we're going to use the var pointer command again. And in this case, since we're pointing at an array, we merely have to reference the very first element of the array. So as the array is between elements 1 and 10, we'll point it at element 1. So we have the name of the array and the first element in that array. Now that our pointer 2 is pointing at the array, we can actually reference every element within the array. However, there is something to watch out for. Your syntax in actually accessing it, again, is using the @ command. Then the name of the pointer variable, and in square brackets, is the element within the array that you wish to get data from. For pointers, these elements always start at 0. So regardless of how you've dimensioned your array, either starting at 0 or 1 or some number larger than 1, the first element, as far as the pointer is concerned, is always going to be 0. Following that, we can put in the structure that you wish to pull the information out of, in this case str_user and str first name. If we run that now, we will see we'll get the first name of our user coming out, which is exactly the same as it was earlier. To pull out the other parts of our user-defined type within the array, we merely have to use the name of those constructs. Again, at P2 with the 0 element, and then the str_user, and then the str last name. And to complete the code, we can pull out the account number and also the department. So this demonstrates how to use a pointer to pull information out of an existing populated array. Now that we've set up this pointer, we can also use it to populate the array itself. If we wished to populate the very next element of the array, which we have not yet populated, we can do this using our pointer. Simply by using at P2 and in square brackets the element we wish to populate, and then the parts of the user-defined type that we wish to put data into. And of course, we can also print this back out to the log. We'll see we're getting the name returned on our log. Of course, since we're hard coding this value in here, this could indeed be a variable. If we populate the variable long element to be 1, we can slot that in quite happily to our code, and it will still work. So in summary, what we've done today is that we have taken an existing array which is of user-defined types. We have populated that array with data, and we've used a pointer to both extract data from the array and to insert data into the array. Hopefully this has been an easy introduction to the use of pointers. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching.